please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Hello and welcome to Halftime Report. Well, it's 12 noon. We're halfway through the trading session. It's a good time, in fact, to run you through all the top stories. I'm Nigel D'Souza, and with me today is Sonia Shenoy. Hey, Sonia, you've got the color wrong, I think. Red, no red today on the screen. We have had a good series. That's the April series, 500 points. And today, 65 points. The Bulls will be happy.
Well, maybe I'm not supporting the markets. I'm supporting my team, right? I mean, we've had a good run as well, Arsenal, so far.
Absolutely. So. I was quite disappointed. Yesterday, I thought we were going to, take home the win. But unfortunately, goal in the late, in the dying minutes of the game. But anyways, we have had a good run. To focus on all the movers and shakers today. And Axis Bank, that's been the big mover. It was low by close to 2% at the start of the trading session. Currently, one of the big gainers. Abhishek, over to you.
Well, Nigel, the fact is that they front-loaded the NPA, which seems to have excited the street. So overall, their slippages came in at around 16,500 odd crores. That compares to about 4,400 crores in the previous quarter. Now, the management clearly mentioned that 90% of this slippages has come in from the already stressed pool that they had mentioned. So gross NPA in absolute value has increased by 37%, but on a ratio-wise, it has increased to 6.8 versus 5.3%. The non-NPL stress book, that is the lower rated profile book, and the watch list is now clubbed together, and they are at around 12,200 crores. That compares to about 27,000 odd crores in the previous quarter. Overall, there is a decline in the restructured book also to about 2,065 crores. That compares to close to 7,000 crore in the previous quarter. The loan growth has been phenomenally strong, but NIM has been at 9-quarter low at 3.3%. Analysts are overweight on the stock. The target price have reduced and now ranges between 530 to 620 per share. Let's listen into the management.
For the asset quality pain to really moderate, it's critical that we complete the NPA recognition process. Do think that we're now nearing the end of the recognition process, and we should really start to focus on the resolution process going forwards from here.
Bank significantly accelerated NPA recognition in this quarter. Slippages were at 16,500 crores, most of which, about 13,900 crores, came from corporate lending. This recognition was mostly from the BB and below book, and particularly from the power sector. Power was the dominant sector from where we saw slippages, and it contributed upwards of 40% of all the NPA formation in this quarter. The new guidelines from the regulator on resolution of stressed assets did drive some of the recognition, particularly in the restructured book.
Okay, well, that's the Axis Bank CFO, and as a lot of analysts have told us, this is the big cleanup quarter and profitability can only improve from here. At least that is the view coming in. Perhaps that's the reason the stock is up as well. But let's move on. Biocon, let's find out more from Ekta. What's keeping that stock under pressure this morning, Ekta?
Well, it is definitely the numbers. The numbers actually didn't look that bad for Biocon this quarter. It was a good revenue growth that they've reported this time round, and that has been led by their biologics segment as well as the research segment. They have reported margins which have come in at around 19% this quarter. The company has mentioned that there has been pricing pressure which the company has faced, for example, in their small molecule segment. Now, overall, however, there have been other factors which are important as well. So, for example, the European regulator has inspected the company's Bangalore facility. This is the same facility where the biosimilars have been filed for the European market. And remember that it was inspected all the way back in March of 2017 and had received 35 observations from the French regulator then. So there is that re-inspection which has taken place, and they are awaiting the report. Separately, the company has mentioned that they would look probably to spare off some stake in Syngene. That is a plan which is being considered in order to fund the kind of capex that Syngene has coming up.
Okay, all right, Ekta. Thanks so much for that. Going back to Abhishek then. Abhishek, what about AU Small Finance Bank?
Well, two positives coming in, Nigel, and two negatives. The positive being that their loan growth has actually doubled on a YOY basis. Another positive being that the asset quality has improved. So the gross NPAs are now at 2% versus 2.8% in the previous quarter. However, given the fact that operating expenses were on the higher side, that grew by 132% on a YOY basis and about 33% on a sequential basis, that led to operating profit being more or less flat on a YOY or sequential basis. Therefore, there's a red tick on the stock right now.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. That's the reason for the slight pressure there. But what about Fortis, Ekta, the latest there?
Well, Fortis is in focus because of the board meet outcome which took place yesterday. Now, the board meet outcome was because of owing to the resignation of Renuka Ramnath, which is basically, you know, a part of the expert panel. Binding bids which have come in for Fortis could not be deliberated on. Instead, the board which met yesterday has asked 3 of the people who have been recommended by Eastbridge, and they had called for an EGM separately to be inducted into the board. So they have invited them to join the board, and it says in terms of the board meet outcome yesterday that 3 prospective members were asked to join the board meet today. So this is important from the context that now you know, there is some strengthening of the board which has taken place, and what happens with the expert panel committee, whether there will be further board restructuring which will happen even today, the board meet continues today, will be something that will be closely watched.
Okay, all right, Ekta, thanks so much for that. Well, HIL, they posted a very good set of numbers. The stock is up a whopping 39% this week. Let's listen in to Mr. Chaudhary, the MD and CEO of HIL, on the outlook for FY19 as well as on the pipes business.
On the pipes business, we are very bullish. We are taking all steps towards developing the brand and marketing strategy as well as the sales strategy. The quality of this product, as has been vetted by the market analysts, have been very good. So we are definitely hoping to grow at a high double-digit number on pipes for the next few years.
All right, then, HIL, that's been the big outperformer in this week itself. If you pull up the chart, it's up more than 35-38% odd. Now, remember, the market capitalization of HIL has gone all the way to around 1,600 crores. So, Orient Paper, that's a company that, in fact, holds stake in HIL. You should keep that on your radar as well. Remember, paper industry on the whole is seeing a bit of a re-rating. Now, they hold 12.5% stake in HIL. The 12.5% stake, after the big run that we have seen, is valued at roughly around 200-205 crore rupees. The market capitalization currently of Orient Paper is around 900 crores, 930 crores odd. So just keep that stock on your radar. You know, since it holds a stake over there, even if you give a 50% discount out there, suddenly 10% of the current market price of Orient Paper will come on the back of the stake that it's holding in HIL, as well as it has holding in other companies like a Century Textile. But let's get back to Abhishek, Sonia.
Yes, in fact, Shriram City Union is something that he's looking at right now. Abhishek, why is that?
Well, Sonia, they reported the number last evening, but one positive from the result is that loan growth has picked up. Over the last 3 to 4 quarters, loan growth had been on a declining trend, and that has now picked up to nearly 19% as we speak. And the net interest margin has remained stable at 13.5%. But on the flip side, disbursement growth was really dismal because it grew by just 6% on a YY basis and about 4.5% on a sequential basis. Their asset quality deteriorated owing to the fact that they migrated to 90 days past due recognition in Q4 as against 120 days past due recognition earlier. So the gross NPA in absolute value has increased by 40% on a sequential basis, while in percentage wise, gross NPA is now at 9% versus 6.8%. Therefore, red tick on the stock right now.
Okay, Abhishek, thanks so much for that. Well, Jubilant Life as well as in focus. Ekta, back to you.
Well, the news on Jubilant Life is that the US International Trade Commission has decided to basically investigate Bracco Diagnostics' complaint, which was filed in March 2018 against Jubilant Life Sciences. So Bracco Diagnostics, which is basically a company in the US, has filed a complaint against one of Jubilant Life's products, which is Ruby Fill syringes, claiming that 3 of their patents have been infringed on the same. So this would be a story which would be closely tracked in terms of whether there is any sort of patent infringement. Ruby Fill is expected to be a $100 million product for Jubilant Life Sciences eventually. So whether or not there would be any impact would be important to watch. Macquarie says that the complaint could be Bracco Diagnostics' last-ditch attempt in order to stave off competition.
Okay, thanks a lot for that. But don't lose sight of what's happening in the market. A lot of these stocks are moving to the high point of trade right now. Just take a look at Bajaj Auto. In the last 5-10 minutes, Bajaj Auto has moved to the high point. In fact, there's quite a bit of buying that we're seeing there. Just look at that huge move. And some of these PSU banks, Andhra Bank, case in point, is at the high point right now. But talking about numbers, SL Propak's Q4 earnings were quite lackluster. We spoke with Ashok Goyal, the chairman and managing director of the company, to get a sense of the growth outlook for FY19. Listen into what he had to say.
On growth for the whole of next year, we believe that whatever building blocks we needed to put last year has been put, and therefore we will be back on track for growth of this financial year. The GST issues are behind us. The Europe underperformance of German unit is behind us, which is in fact in the fourth quarter has already started to grow. And we are seeing good non-oral care growth coming in US and Mexico. So overall, we believe that we will show a double-digit growth in this financial year.
Well, here's a quick recap of all the buzzing stocks we just covered. We have Axis Bank, Biocon, AU Small Finance Bank, Fortis, HIL, Orient Paper, Shriram City Union Finance, Jubilant Life. Then all eyes on a couple of numbers that are out today. Reliance Industries, that's a stock on our radar. Remember, their petchem business is expected to, to be the major growth driver in this past quarter. Sonia, you're tracking it this time around. What do we expect from you?
Well, the stock has hit a new 52-week high, and there are a couple of things which are driving it. This could be the first quarter when Reliance Industries delivers a 10,000 crore profit, and that could be because of a couple of reasons. One, of course, as you said, the petchem business is doing quite well. That will be the key growth driver. We are expecting the petchem volumes to actually go up quite a bit. So 4.5 million tons of volumes is what we're expecting this time. This compares to 4.2 million last quarter and 4 million the quarter before. That trend will actually come up for you. That will result in a higher EBIT of almost a 12% growth quarter on quarter is what we're looking at in the petchem EBIT. But the surprise element could come in from RelGeo. As we know, RelGeo has just disrupted the market. They've gone out and they've cut tariffs quite a bit. That will result in lower average revenue per users for them. But on the flip side, what it's done is given them higher subscribers. So that really will lead to a higher EBIT performance for RelGeo. So the subscriber base has gone up to 190 million in this quarter, compared to about 160 million the quarter before and 139 million in the preceding quarter. So very good increase in RelGeo subscribers is what we've seen. Kotak is estimating a 60% profit growth quarter on quarter for RelGeo to 800 crores versus 504 crores. The other business, which is their refining business, is expected to be steady this time. Gross refining margins of $11.4 a barrel. But, as I said, the swing factor could come in from RelGeo, 200-300 crores more, and they could hit a 10,000 crore profit level. But standard disclaimer, of course, Reliance is the owner of the channel you're watching.
Okay, all right, Sonia, but it's a busy Friday for you, not just Reliance Industries. But as we're looking at even Maruti, we should expect the numbers in the next hour or so?
Yes, we should. In fact, a steady set of numbers is what I'm expecting. 15% revenue growth, 20% profit growth. This time was good for Maruti. It had a new Swift, which did really well. They had the Baleno, the Brezza, which did quite well. And all of that will result in higher realization because these are high-value products. So we're expecting the margins to go up to 15.1% versus about 13.9% same time last year. And also, they had discounts at the end of December that came to an end, and they took some price hikes as well. So all of this put together will result in higher volumes and margins for them.